Srimad Bhagavad Gita Introduction, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Introduction, Day 8. We have discussed this point that how karma is not eternal, because when a person comes to mode of goodness, then he knows what kind of actions will bind him and he won't do those actions, and what he will also have understanding what kind of actions are liberating him, and he will do those actions. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Consequently, karma is not eternal. So, karma can be changed if we behave with sanity. Therefore, we stated that of the 5 items, Ishwar, Jeev, Prakriti, time and karma, 4 are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. So, this is understood. The Supreme Conscious Ishwar is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental, which means beyond matter. It is not a product of matter. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That means neither the consciousness of the Lord, neither the consciousness of the living entity is generated from matter. That is a mistaken idea, and this is a mistaken idea of most of the scientists. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color. But the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. Now, why Prabhupada is giving this example? If there is colored glass, the glass does not emit light. The light is emitted by the filament, and when the current is there, and then the light goes through that glass to appear to us of a particular color, green, blue or white or whatever. Similarly, the living entity's consciousness gets affected by matter or by attachment to matter, but the Lord's consciousness is not affected. How? What is evidence? The evidence is Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also in the form of Paramatma is residing in our heart, but he is not affected by the material experiences which the living entity has in this material world. But we are constantly affected by the circumstances around us. That's what Prabhupada is telling here. Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshena Prakriti. Why Prabhupada has quoted this? When we are in this material world, we are not controlling the material nature. But the Lord, even while he is in this world, he is controlling the material nature. The material nature is not controlling his consciousness. Through his power, the Lord is controlling the material nature. This is the difference. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. We discussed this point. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Now you see what is a very nice example Prabhupada is giving here. A nice point. A person whose consciousness is only affected by matter, he cannot speak of transcendence, because transcendence means something which is beyond the modes of material nature. I'll explain this. I went to Indonesia for preaching some years back, and in Bali there was a school, some nice public school, and they were very proud that they are conducting transcendental meditation course for the students. So I asked the principal, what do you understand by transcendental? And the answer was nothing. He does not know anything. So when he does not even know what is transcendental, how does he know that the meditation is transcendental? So you see how people are getting cheated. So if I don't even know what is transcendental, how can I speak about transcendence? The Lord is transcendental. That's why he can speak with authority on the topic of transcendence. Some subject, if we have no experience, no knowledge, how will we speak on it? That's a simple point. And suppose we speak of, we may speak, but none of the proper scholars, or you can say proper people who are transcendentally situated, will accept it because it's all bogus. So the authority of Bhagavad Gita has been accepted by great liberated acharyas like Sripad Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, his spiritual master. So we must understand that the words of Lord Krishna are transcendental because since time immemorial his words are being accepted by transcendental people who are transcendental to the modes of material nature. If you must have read Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter itself, Lord Krishna was asked by Arjun, what are the symptoms of a person whose consciousness is fixed in transcendence? So the Lord answered it. So how could he answer? Because he knows it. He knows what does it mean to be actually transcendental, even while living in this world. So that's what it is mentioned here, that if Lord is not transcendental, if Lord was not transcendental, not always transcendental to this material nature, he could not speak anything on the matter of transcendence. Very simple point, but has to be accepted. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. First of all, we have to understand this. Bhagavad Gita is creating a need for doing something very important. Prabhupada has used the words very nicely. At this moment, in this time, in this stage of our existence, our consciousness is materially contaminated, means affected either by mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance. So, what is the effect of this contamination? What disadvantage this bad or contaminated consciousness is giving to us? So it's very simple. Our consciousness is like a mirror. So when the mirror is clean, you can see the face very clearly. So we have the potency to see the Supreme Lord constantly in the heart. But if the consciousness is impure, we cannot see the Lord, although the Lord is the most dear and near person to us. So can you see the disadvantage of having a not bad only, contaminated consciousness? The person who is the source of highest bliss remains hidden to us. Simple. So that's why Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. The Lord, who is the source of all strength, source of all beauty and everything nice, is in our heart, but we feel unsheltered. That's why we do jobs. Is it not? We are not doing job out of own volition that we like our job or something. We feel that what will happen if I don't do job? It's okay, I'm not saying that you don't do job or anything, but what will happen? What will happen? So when these questions are coming to us, what will happen? What will happen? There is a sense of being unsheltered. And that's only because of having a materially contaminated consciousness, that there is no one to take care of me. If I don't take care of myself, how will I be taken care of? Do animals do job? Well, not really. See? And their material necessities as per their need is also met. I hope we are not eating 40 kgs and an elephant eats 40 kgs or something. Still he gets maintained. Whales? I hope our size or body size is not matching a whale's size. Still she is being maintained. So I'm just saying, because of materially contaminated consciousness, we feel no connection with the Lord. We don't even feel the Lord exists. So as the consciousness becomes purified, the Lord becomes more and more revealed to us. We become joyful. We become free, basically. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches us how our consciousness will become purified by regulating our senses. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of Ishwar, and that will make us happy. We have underlined this. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. You see, what does this line mean? As our heart becomes purified, will realize more and more that only by serving Krishna I am becoming happy. See, there is no problem in desiring to be happy because that is our nature. That is our very nature to become happy. But problem is that because of materially contaminated consciousness, we think that happiness is somewhere in some kind of sense gratification. So as our heart becomes purified, it becomes very clear to us that sense gratification does not make me happy. You will see in our heart that we become disillusioned with the pralobhan, क्या कहेंगे हिंदी इंग्लिश में? Pralobhan means allurements of sense gratification. Disillusioned by the allurements of sense gratification. Ice cream parlor, this. So many things, so many allurements are there for a conditioned soul, and is conditioned to be allured by them. But as by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, by taking prasadam, as our consciousness becomes clear, we will directly experience that there is no happiness in sense gratification. And we will directly experience that there is happiness and satisfaction in serving Krishna. That's how we ourselves can know whether our consciousness is getting pure or not. Is it very clear? That means naturally the flow of the flow of the service attitude of the living entity should be towards Krishna. Naturally. Just like you see, my hand will only work as per my body. As per my body's needs. Our hand does not work against our body's needs. Hai na? Similarly, the living entity in his pure consciousness, when it is pure, it will naturally like to serve Krishna. So you see, as you keep on chanting, you will see in our heart that you will naturally like to serve Krishna. Because the love for the Lord is naturally there in the living entity. It just gets covered over with the baser modes of material nature, which are mode of ignorance and passion. And this will make us happy. So basically, Bhagavad Gita is there. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is there to make us happy. Here, this line is very clear. Please try to diagnose. If there is an inclination in our heart to not serve Krishna, a sense of aversion to serve Krishna in any way, then we must understand that it's a covering, it's an imposition or a contamination in our consciousness. Otherwise, our flow of consciousness or flow of mind should be towards Krishna, just like Mother Ganga is flowing towards sea, even with so many obstacles. Clear? So without being discouraged, we should engage in activities which are in service of Krishna in different ways, and at every service to Krishna is purifying our consciousness, and as our heart becomes purified, it becomes easier to serve Krishna because the obstructions to serve Krishna are destroyed. I hope that I'm able to clarify this point, and this will make us happy. It is not that we have to cease all activities. Rather, our activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti. What is the point? Purified activities means activities in relationship with Krishna. It's like I am not going to stop speaking, but we have to speak about Krishna. Then it is purified. We cannot stop eating, but eat after offering the food to Krishna. It's very simple. Think, we have to think, but think of Krishna. Actually, the best way, or for me I can say easiest way to think of Krishna is how to spread the word of Krishna. If you're thinking how to spread the word of Krishna, naturally you're thinking of Krishna. If you're thinking of how to broadcast the glories of Krishna, naturally you're thinking of Krishna. It's very easy. Much easier than just sitting around and trying to think of Krishna is very, very difficult. But to think of doing some service to Krishna is easy. Or a person who's cooking for Krishna is very easy to think of what to cook. But because he's not going to eat until it is offered to Krishna, he's actually thinking of Krishna, even though he's thinking about eating or not cooking the food properly. I hope this is clear. So why it is very easy? Because you see, Our consciousness is there. Through our consciousness, we are going to act. So action cannot be stopped. A very easy example is there. If you ask a boy, a small kid, to just sit in one place, very difficult for him. But if you give him some work like paint, do some painting like that, then he can very easily be engaged. So there's a natural process of engaging our senses in Krishna's service, and that is called bhakti. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. Just like to any outsider, it may appear that we are reading English book, but we are not reading only an English book, but we are reading a book in English about Lord Krishna, so it's transcendental. Anything to do with Krishna is transcendental. Simple point. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. You have understood this point? That the work which is contaminated by impure consciousness is done for one's own sense gratification. But the work which is done in pure consciousness is done for the pleasure of Lord. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature, which is passion, ignorance, and goodness. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. How do we know? Answer is very simple. If there is an aversion to serve the Lord in the form of hearings, remembering, speaking, or any other ways, then the consciousness is contaminated. Whenever you chant japa and you can feel there is a resistance in the mind to chant, the mind says, no, I don't want to chant. So that is the contamination in the consciousness. That aversion toward the Lord is called avidya, which creates a tendency to not serve the Lord. So that is the conscious, that is the contamination. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned or programmed. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. This is called false ego. One who is absorbed in the thoughts of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life, and Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life. That is the preliminary activity for the transcendentalist. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body. This is very nice. If you must have read Bhagavad Gita earlier, you will notice that how Arjuna was lamenting because of a very strong sense of bodily relationship. How can I fight with my teachers? How can I fight with my grandfather? Who is your grandfather? So first from Bhagavad Gita 2.12, Lord chastises Arjuna in the chapter number 2. Pragya Vadanscha Bhashase. You are speaking like a learned person, but you are not speaking learned words. Gatasun agatasuncha nanushuchanti pandita. A person who is actually pandit, he does not lament for any person living or dead. Why? Because no one dies. He explains in second chapter, Nat vivaham jatus nasam natvam neme janatipah nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayamata param. There was no time when you were not there, when these kings were not there, and I was not there. And there will not be any time when you will not be there, the kings will not be there, I will not be there. So unless a person understands, at least theoretically, that he is not the body, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. That's why first instruction we have to accept and also try to understand that I am not his hand, then I am not my nose, I am not my ears, so then he will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. You see, one who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body. Now why? See, if we are talking about liberation, we have to ask this question, liberation from what? Is it not? So if I identify with my body only, then there is no question of liberation because I am the body. How can I be liberated from what I am? But when I understand I'm not this body, then there will be a question, if I'm not the body, then why I'm in the body? And then we also understand the nature of the body. I think nowadays, I don't know, in your place, in our place, there is so many mosquitoes. So mosquitoes are biting my body. I'm suffering because I'm attached to my body. So body is the source of suffering. So I want to be liberated from getting another body. But if I simply identify that I am this body, then there is no question of liberation. That's why people in this world are not interested in liberation, because they only think that they are this body. Rather, they are not even aware that they are thinking that they are this body. I mean, at least as devotees, practicing devotees, we know that we are in ignorance and we identify with the body. But those who are identifying with the body, they don't even know that they are identifying with the body. This sinking in. When we have not heard that we are not the bodies, did we ever think that we are identifying with the body? We never thought. We always think, I am this body. I am this body. We don't even, I mean, nothing, it just doesn't come into our consciousness, in our mind, that we are not this body. So that's why first instruction is that we are not this material body. And it's very easy to actually understand. In a sense, it's easy, because the way my body is looking now is not the way it was looking even 3 years back. I saw my videos 3 years back. I was but this body was much more fat than this, not 8 kilos more. I was looking very ugly. At that time, I was not feeling it was too much or too less. And if you don't still believe, then see your photo of your 4 years age or something like that. You looked very different. You means the body. So the body has changed. Simple. It's like I have an e-bike. Another friend of mine came with another e-bike. So both the two e-bikes are looking different, because they are different. We are not growing. We are changing body. This body is completely different from the body which I had even in this life at 5 years of age. Simple points. So what does liberation means? Mukti or liberation means freedom from material consciousness. Why? Because if I have this conception that I am this body, then I am conditioned, I will be programmed to act only for the gratification of the senses. But as we become liberated, we are situated in real ego that I am a servant of Krishna, so I must serve Krishna through my body. Just like in false ego, I identify with the body and then I think I will satisfy my body or I'll enjoy through my body. But in a real ego, when I become liberated, I'll think I will serve Krishna through my body. Got it? Simple points. Ego means I am. So ego cannot be removed. Ego means a sense of I-ness. I exist. That is there in the living entity. That is called Gyan Shakti. But when it false ego means I am this body, then I will gratify my senses. Then real ego is I am Krishna's servant. Then I'll serve Krishna through my body. So this way we become deprogrammed from our programming that only by sense gratification I'll be happy. I hope this is easy. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also the definition of liberation is given. Muktir hitva annitha rupam swarupena vivastiti. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness of this material world and situation in pure consciousness. So you see, mukti not necessarily means that you give up this body and go back to spiritual world. That is called videha mukti. That means giving up the body and going to spiritual world. That will happen in due course of time. But while we are living in this material world, we can be liberated. What is the meaning? Sanskrit, you can see. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6. Mukti means hitva, giving up. Annitha rupam, giving up other forms. That means this is also a form. So identifying with this form, that I am a man or a woman or like that. Swarupena vyavastiti, being situated in one's swarupa or constitutional position. I am a servant of Krishna. I am in this, okay, somebody is in a woman form, fine. So now you have the services. You have to cook for the family and do other things. So if we have the deity of the Lord in our home, then we become conscious. Whatever activities are being done in this home are for the pleasure of the Lord. Whether it is cleaning the home, whether it is cooking, whether it is chanting, anything. So in this way, being in home as well, a person becomes liberated. If a person is going for a job, So then he said, okay, I need some money to do bhakti also, and then and maintain the family, so that the family can do bhakti. So then his doing job also becomes an offering to the Lord. That's what Lord is telling. You see, Arjuna was fighting as a Kshatriya. His conditioned nature, you can say, is to be a Kshatriya. So Lord did not stop him from fighting, but he taught him how to fight for Krishna. Simple points. And in this way we become liberated. So like this. Again I'll repeat, material consciousness means through the consciousness I'll engage in sense gratification. Pure consciousness means through the consciousness I'll engage my senses for Lord's service. And if I do that, and I become liberated. So becoming liberated is very easy. Just like right now we are discussing Bhagavad Gita. So we are liberated. Simple. So arrange your day or learn yourself. Yourself means through the devotees, you learn how to engage yourself in one or other activities which have some connection with Krishna. So program your day in that way, in that manner, so that you have some or the other service for Krishna as far as possible. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness. What is the meaning of awaken? If I was sleeping on the bed, then I get awakened by someone else. It's not that I am not sleeping. You cannot awaken a person who's not even sleeping. So we are in a sleeping condition, and our pure consciousness of a loving servant of the Lord is there already. By the process of bhakti, it becomes awakened. So this is why Prabhupada is saying this. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness, and therefore we find at the last stage of the Gita's instructions that Krishna is asking Arjuna whether he is now in purified consciousness. Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord. This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness. So, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, if someone has understood Bhagavad Gita, means his conclusion should be as per Arjuna's conclusions. Gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. My illusion has gone, my doubts have been eradicated, and I will do as per your instructions. Arjuna did not say that I will fight. He said, I'll do as per your instructions. If you tell me to fight, I'll fight. And if you tell me to drop weapons and go away, then I'll do that also. So real purified consciousness means a person is ready to do what Krishna wants him to do. And it's not difficult to know what Krishna wants him to do. We have to learn Bhagavad Gita and we'll know what Krishna wants us to do. Manmana bhavmat bhaktu madhyaji mam namaskuru. Simple. So how do we know our consciousness is getting purified? By chanting and hearing. Our inclination to do what will please the Lord will increase. Okay? Consciousness is already there because we are part and parcel of the Lord. But for us, there is the affinity of being affected by the inferior modes. But the Lord, being the Supreme, is never affected. That is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the small individual souls. So, one page is also there. I think that we will take next. So, what we learned today was consciousness is not created by matter. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We also have consciousness. And pure consciousness and contaminated consciousness means contaminated consciousness. Because of contaminated consciousness, I want to enjoy my senses separate from Krishna. And in pure consciousness, I want to use my consciousness and through that use my senses for the Lord's service. And that becomes awakened by chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, by hearing of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and taking prasadam. These are the three primary principles of Krishna consciousness: chanting the holy name, hearing Bhagavad Gita, and taking prasadam. Food is very critical. Ahar shuddhau sattva shuddhi. Sattva again means your consciousness. If our food is not pure, that means it is not offered to the Lord, our consciousness is definitely going to get affected. Okay, before I end, I'll say something which we can experience. If our consciousness is pure, then it will have clarity, transparency. It will have serenity, that means peacefulness. And it will be able to catch the reflection of the Supreme Lord Bhagavad Brimb Grahitvam. It will have the quality of catching the reflection of the Supreme Lord. So transparency, serenity is there. So as we keep on doing bhakti, our consciousness is getting purified by every action of bhakti, and we start feeling the symptoms of pure consciousness. If there was no pure consciousness, none of the devotees here would have come on their own to hear Bhagavad Gita. Again, I am repeating, you keep chanting. On a particular day, you may have taste or you may not have taste. But you will see that your appreciation of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is increasing. You will see that our disinclination for sense gratification is increasing gradually. Disinclination, I'm saying. So that's why, along with chanting, we should hear Bhagavad Gita also, and we will be able to directly perceive that our consciousness is getting purified, and that will boost our faith that the holy name is actually working. Otherwise, if when we don't hear, then we don't even understand what is purity of consciousness. Then we say maybe the holy name is not working like that. Okay, so there are no questions. I'm not seeing any questions here. So what is consciousness, etc., we will discuss tomorrow, Krishna willing, because that is introduction part 7. So we'll stop here. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.